Welcome. This video is focused on making our own blocks, starting to modularize our code and build reusable pieces. So the script I've got in the center of the screen here should look very familiar. It's our basic draw a square. I'll actually make sure I put the pen down before I do it. All right, so there's that basic recipe. I don't know about you, but I'm getting kind of sick of creating this recipe over and over and over. And if I want to reuse it, if I want to make a different script that involves a square, I've got to copy and paste that around. It'd be nice to just be able to say, draw a square, to do this basic recipe. And that's what creating our own block allows us to do. To save a script and give it a name that we can just execute the whole script by saying that name. So to do this, if we go down to the bottom of the Variables tab, there is Make a Block. So I'm going to click that. And I can pick what category to put it in. Now it doesn't really matter where I put it. It's just going to affect what color it gets and where it shows up. So I'm going to put this in a pen because it's going to draw a square. I can pick what kind of block it is. If it's just going to do something for us, it's a command block, and that's what this is. And we can also say whether every sprite gets to use this one or just this one. We'll normally just leave it as for all sprites. And I'm going to say draw square. It is okay to have spaces in these names. So I'm just going to spell it out as draw a square and hit OK. What opens up is the block editor. So this is showing me what will actually happen when I try to draw a square. And if I go look under the pen tab, now down at the bottom there's this new draw a square command. All right. This is like any other block. I can make use of this. Currently it's not going to do much because I don't have anything defined. I try and run this and nothing happens. So I'm going to go back and right click it and edit it and put some stuff in there. And what I want to put down is, well, the draw square, I've got to make sure the pen is down, so I'll put it down. I'll repeat 4 times, move, turn 90 degrees. OK. Now draw a square says to go do that recipe. And I never again need to futz with that. Anytime I want to draw a square, I can just use that block. And so I could say draw a square, move 200 steps, and then draw another square. Maybe in between I'll pick up the pen. Right. Couple advantages. One, I'm not dealing with that chunk of code over and over and over. I could save this and I can even import that project in to new projects and always get that same block back. But kind of aside from just pure convenience, there's a couple other big things that are going on. One, I've only got the code in one place. If I realize this block is messed up, because maybe when I built my draw square I thought there were 5 sides to square, well, I can fix all of these. Right now they'd all be messed up, but I can fix all of them by just changing the code in one place. So I'm not hunting down copies of the code all over the place. I know there's only one master copy of the code for draw a square. It also makes my code a lot more readable, right? Instead of trying to decipher, well, he's repeating 4 times, he's moving and turning, and oh, I guess that makes a square. Right? My code's very explicit. Draw a square, pick up the pen, move 200, draw me another square. So a lot of wins for doing this. One issue we've got, though, right now is every time I draw a square, it's the same size. What I'd like to be able to do is make this more flexible. Now I suppose I could make a new version of draw a square. So make a block and draw a big square. And you can see I forgot to give it a category, so it showed up with a gray. I'm actually going to kill that and delete that block. And let's try that again. So make a block. I'm going to make sure it's a pen and draw a big square. Alright, so how do I want to draw a big square? I want to do this same stuff, so I'm going to copy my code from draw a square and make draw a big square, only we're going to move 200 steps. Alright, so now I've got draw a big square, which does it bigger than draw a small square. It works, sort of. Right? Now what if I want a medium square? Well, I've got to make draw a medium square. What if I want a draw 101 pixel square? I've got to have a block for that. Very quickly going to become unworkable. What we want to do is to take the same approach that the built-in blocks take. There's no move one step, move two step, move three steps block. There's this generic move blank steps. So what we want to do is get rid of this whole draw a big square idea and allow our square block to say draw a square blank size, kind of like the move does. The way we do that, the way we add blanks to our block, those are called parameters in programming. So let me edit my draw square, and if I hover over the name, you can see we get pluses, and I get an opportunity to insert something there, and what I insert can either be just some more text, or it can be an input, a parameter. So I want to take size as a parameter. So I'm going to hit OK and draw a square size. You can see what that does out here is it says draw a square and it gives me a blank to put in a size. Right now that'll take any piece of information because it's square. If I really want to get fancy, I can click this and say I only want to take a number for the size. If you don't do that, it'll default to the any type, which is fine, that'll work, but just means you can by accident try and make a square of BYOB size or something else equally silly. So if I do that, now it turns into the standard kind of rounded rectangle that only takes a number. Now this is basically a variable that only exists inside this script. Size will be set to whatever number I put in here, and I can use size down in my script to represent that number. So what this says right now, if I say draw a square of size 150, that 150 will be stored as the size, and when I go to draw my square, it'll say move 150 steps. If I call draw square, I execute that block, and I pass in 40 as the input to size, then that's going to move 40 steps. So let's try that out. There's 40, and I'll duplicate that and do a bigger one, and then we'll do 90, and we get the two different squares. Now we've got a flexible draw square block. I'm going to edit it again. Draw a square 90 doesn't really tell me what 90 is for, so if I want I can add some more text. And maybe, actually let's add it before the size. Size of, oops, let's delete that one and try that one more time. I want a title text with size of, so draw a square with size of size, which looks a little silly here, but makes more sense out there. Draw a square with size of 90. Draw a square with size of 40. Draw a square with size of 200. Whatever number I pass it is what it will use.